mean, listening to Liz Cheney for nearly 9 minutes, read some of the most damning text messages from the treasure trove, like you say, that Mark Meadows gave over to the commission, was so startling because once again, it takes me back to that moment. It takes me back to sitting in this very living room, watching the television, the smoke billowing out of the Capitol building, and thinking to myself, stupidly, foolishly, this is the end of Trumpism. Because there is no way that we as a nation are going to watch our democracy literally go up in smoke with thousands of people using hockey sticks and fire extinguishers and barricades, beating back police who, but a couple of months ago, they wanted to say Blue Lives Matter during the summer uprisings over the murder of George Floyd. I said, this is it, right? And then, as you so eloquently tweeted this week, the collective gaslight began, right? Much in the same way that we learned now of the PowerPoint presentation that was done to create this coup. There was a collective push by all of these entities to say, this never happened. And if we say together that this was a lone tourist group, we don't know why everybody's making such a big deal, this never happened, then we could all start questioning ourselves and say, well, did it happen? Was it just good lighting and Hollywood production and direction that we all saw on 1/6? But by their very own words of fear in that moment, because that's what I heard. It was fear. It was Don Jr. saying, this has gone too far. Because, the thing about Trumpism and the whole atmosphere around Donald Trump is about pushing the envelope. Let us push our democracy. Let us bend the laws just to their, feel, as you would say if you were a fitness instructor, move through your feel-good edge. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? That's what you say during workouts. But that was the mentality of this entire administration. We're going to push our Constitution to the point of breaking, but then as it gets there, we're going to pull back. But 1/6 was them attempting to pull back and realizing that the horse was already out, right? Running. And so when we see this now, and yes, it was very well done by Liz Cheney, who voted with Donald Trump over 90% of the time, to read out those tweets on prime time. What I am realizing, Waj, is that I don't think public opinion matters anymore. I don't think that it matters with gun control. I don't think that it matters with abortion. It damn sure doesn't matter with the COVID-19 vaccine. I don't think that it matters with the insurrection. Do you? What do you think is going to be the fallout of us realizing that Fox News, from the moment jump, was gaslighting the hell out of their millions upon millions of viewers on the night of 1/6?
So it's the reason why back in the day, and while this was happening, I said that the Republican Party will further radicalize, weaponize, and become a pro-death cult, is not because I'm an oracle, right? It's it's not like I'm that cynical in that I realize that, oh my God, a violent insurrection that leaves 5 people dead will be the turning point. No. I've been paying attention to this movement, and I believe they're playing for all the marbles. January 6th, the violent insurrection to me was business as usual. It's the normal course of the radicalization process. And furthermore, I thought that once, hopefully, if Biden became president, which he did, they would not stop. They would double down and attack truth, which is what authoritarians do, which is what Steve Bannon said. You have to flood the zone with shit. Literally flood the zone with so much chaos that people become overwhelmed. They can't pay attention. There's 9 crises. You got to focus on 3, 6 of them slide and they become normalized. Whereas Democrats, remember Obama wore a tan suit one time and became news for 2 weeks. And so this is the strategy of former autocrats. There's only one truth, capital T, that belongs to me, the autocratic leader. I am your savior. I am your defender. And I am going to protect you from everyone else who is your enemy. the institutions, the deep state, law enforcement, the Democrats, and anyone who becomes the enemy of the leader becomes your enemy. And anyone I attack, you have to attack. And anyone who likes me likes you as well. And so we're seeing this happen where the big lie now contaminates, Danielle, a majority of Republican voters who believe that Donald Trump, who lost the election, won the election. And then you see Tucker Carlson doing his job, using not necessarily his show, but an outlet on Fox, calling January 6th a false flag operation, right? Flood the zone with shit, disinformation, blame conspiracy theories, make people not believe their own eyes or hear their own ears. And what you get is an alternative reality where about a third of this country believes that the January 6th insurrectionists were heroes and patriots using violence to reclaim a democracy that was stolen from them. And if you look at the data, nearly a third of Republicans, which is like 20 million people, believe that violence is justified in this current moment to take back the country. And so am I surprised? I am not. Now, the question then is, the second question you have here is, well, what do the rest of us do? The thing that they're banking on, okay, is that the majority, and we are the majority, ladies and gentlemen, who are listening, they want the majority to tap out, be exhausted, drown in the flooded zone of shit. A small, zealous, organized minority can carve up a majority, flabby, moderate majority like butter. Always. If you have to give me a choice between a small X-Force, right, to carve up the majority, they'll carve us up. And so for us, what we have to do is not tap out, be informed, be aware, keep being outraged. And now we have to flex upon the majority that we have elected into office to do their effing job. And so what we need is this commission to come out almost on a daily basis and inform the people. We know, as people in the media, we know how our industry works. If it bleeds, it leads. This is sexy. This is leading the news today, by the way, if you've noticed, right? This has to lead 24/7 leading up to the elections. And then you got a tag team with the Justice Department. Justice Department is not supposed to be partisan. It doesn't have to be partisan. I just want the Justice Department to do their job. Follow the evidence. The evidence is damning. And then I want accountability. And then you hit them with accountability. You get them arrested. You get some freaking fines. I want people in jail. And people might say, oh, it doesn't matter. But I'll say this. Steve Bannon spent a year orchestrating a smear campaign against Clinton, tying Clinton to corruption. We found out when it came to the 2016 election, that narrative stuck. Mainstream media picked it up, and it affected just enough voters, Danielle. So I'm thinking that we get the majority and you peel off enough voters and you do the right thing, warning people as to what's happening. And then you and I were talking right before we taped. I said, it's time to name things for what they are. Yes. This was not a disagreement. This was a coup. There was no economic anxiety. This was racial anxiety. It's a white supremacy reclamation project. This is not a racial trip up. It's a racism. And so you name it, you say it, you repeat it, and then you see the accountability. And we have 1 year until the 2022 elections. And you pray to God that this is enough to motivate Joe mother effing Manchin to do the right thing, amend the filibuster, and get us voting rights. But I don't think he's going to budge.
And this is the thing, too, is that everything that you just laid out that Democrats need to do in order to just peel off just enough. We're not talking about trying to win over the 75 million people that voted for Donald Trump. We're talking about peeling off just enough of people who have been mildly corrupted by Trumpism to say, you know what? This shit that went down was terrifying, right? This is actually not okay. And the people that I tune into every night, Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham, in their quiet, dark place, said, oh my, this is going to be bad for us. I mean, Laura Ingraham said, this is hurting all of us. So when just to go back to what you said at the jump, which is that Fox, right, which we're no longer going, and Lawrence O'Donnell tweeted this as well. No, stop calling Fox News Fox News.
Yeah, I haven't done that in a while. I just call it Fox.
Rupert Murdoch named it, right? Knowing good goddamn well he was creating infotainment, right? And I very light on the info, very heavy on the tainment, right?
Correct.
And so So you have Fox, you have these people who knew in the moment, this is going to be bad for all of us, which is essentially admitting they are state TV.
Yeah.
That they had no intention of having like clear, balanced debates, as they say, we're fair and balanced with the incoming Biden administration and with what Trump has done. They just saw what was happening and realized they didn't want to go down with the Titanic because they had been so in the bag for Donald Trump and Trumpism. But here's the thing that I continue to wonder. You're in this moment. You have barricaded yourself in a room. You are frantically calling the president of the United States. You are frantically calling his chief of staff. Fox News is watching this. People on Fox are watching this happen. You're watching it take place across all news networks on the internet. What was their decision then, Waj, to be like, yeah, so we're just going to move on. We're just going to, as Condoleezza Rice said a couple of months ago on The View, we just need to turn the page. The American people don't care about this, Waj. Yeah. They care about gas prices.
Well, because Tucker said that we create the news, right? They create the content. So they create the news and they create the message that they send to about a third of this country that has radicalized them. Once they realize that their base doesn't care, once they realize that they're competing with Newsmax and One America News Network, which, by the way, was created thanks to AT&T, which one of the more conservative news channels. Thank you, AT&T, for helping destroy democracy, by the way, just for profit. Once they realize that, oh no, the right wing is getting nuttier, they realize that they can't moderate. They have to get nuttier. Right? That's what their base wants. That's what the audience wants. The audience craves conspiracy theories, rage, anger, and racism because they have been radicalized by Fox News. So then they realize, oh, well, our audience lives on Earth 3 where Trump won the election. Our audience lives on Earth 3 where Antifa is more dangerous than white supremacists. Our audience lives on Earth 3 where they think there's an invasion of MS-13 in a caravan. Okay. We can just keep shoveling the shit in their mouths and they'll take it. So why do we have to talk about it? We don't. And so case in point, yesterday, we're recording this, but yesterday, that was breaking news. They literally, and by they I'm talking about Liz Cheney and elected officials, read the texts of Laura Ingraham and Brian Kilmeade and Sean Hannity. You would think if Fox News Channel was a news channel, this is big news. Fox News would cover news. Fox News would cover the fact that their hosts are part of national news. Didn't even talk about it. It's Tuesday right now. It's almost like it's a late afternoon. We're recording this. It's been a day. They have yet to mention this at all. Why? They don't have to. Audience doesn't care.